Hey everyone, so before this video begins, I have some explaining to do. I was too lazy to film myself saying this, so enjoy my voice over these interesting pictures. Anyway, I was editing Kerbal Space Program Episode 3, where I continued the tutorials to go to the moon. Unfortunately, it was bad. Like, so terrible. I couldn't stand sitting there to edit it, so I knew you viewers wouldn't particularly enjoy watching it either. So I've decided to go on a refilming spree, taking the concepts of the tutorials I did and tossing out all the garbage commentary. I'll be doing my own tutorials as I've gotten better at the game, so I'll show you guys how to get to the moon instead of watching me try to get there. I honestly think that it will be much more helpful too. The tutorials don't tell you certain critical things, or at least don't explain it in words I comprehend. So KSP number 3, number 4, and number 5, possibly number 6 and 7, will be my own tutorials and much more fun to watch and edit for me. Anyway, now that that's out of the way, let's get on with Curtis Watson's Kerbin to the Moon tutorial. Alright, so we're starting off in orbit over Kerbin. We have our little moon ship that I built, and, the problem with re-recording this episode is that I recorded a lot of my own Kerbal Space Program inventions. So this is one of them, even though you can't see it all too well. But so that's kind of out of order. This is like my third manned or Kerbaled moon landing in the game. So I think I have some practice in it, but it's unfortunate that it'll be a little out of order. But I guess on the upside that this is a kind of a good preview of what you're going to get later. So we've got our ship in orbit, we've got the moon over there, and we've got our encounters set up thanks to a maneuver node right here on the far side. In 13 minutes 3 seconds we're going to be performing that maneuver to get ourselves in a lunar orbit. So we're almost to the maneuver node. At about 17 seconds I'll fire up the engine and would send us on our way to the moon. And then we'll have to ditch this lower stage here and open the solar panels on the main lander. Okay, there we go. 17 seconds. Initiating burn. You see our orbit growing there. We may have to ditch this section and power up the lander to finish the burn, though. This is a completely custom built by me lander, so anything you build or anything you fly to the moon will vary depending on how much power is strapped onto it. Like me, I put a lot of power into this little lander. Oops. And as you can see, I wasn't paying attention and I seem to have overshot it a bit. Well, that's no problem. We just... Is there an anti-maneuver? Okay, no. We just close this out. Point retrograde. No, that's prograde. Here we go. Flip us around. You can get a little bit of a better look at our lander. Well, I don't get it. Is there going to be a periapsis or not? Oh, at this rate, we're going to hit the moon. That's alright. Let's just back this out a little more. Alright. That's a pretty close call. Let's get it a little higher. Oh yeah, that's plenty right there. And we still have a whole lot of fuel, so we'll go ahead and let this fly for a moment. Let me speed it up just a hair. So, anyway, let's get into some specifics here. Like I said, ships will vary greatly depending on how you build them and how much power you give them. This one is actually pretty well powered with a decent amount of fuel. If you guys want, I will give you a detailed deconstruction of the rocket I used to launch it later. But this one doesn't require too much effort to get to the moon and back. But maneuvering to the moon... Hold on, I can't focus. Thinking I'm going to hit something. So, you see here is the orbit. This is the orbit of a satellite in particular. But when you get into an orbit, you'll set up a maneuver node. This is just an example here. I'm not actually going to do it, but if I hit A button there, it'll come up with Add Maneuver. And it seems to have frozen. There we go. And then I hit the right bumper, and these symbols come up. If you notice, they're prograde and retrograde, normal, anti-normal, and radial in, radial out. If you drag the nodes certain ways, they will alter your orbit. And let's see here. I think I just saw it here. Yes, if we extended our prograde anymore, we'd fly right past the moon and escape Kerbin's influence entirety. If we zoom out, we'd be reduced to a orbit around the sun, which wouldn't be too great for our little Kerbals. Normal and anti-normal functions, move it higher or lower. Radial in and out, make it tighter or make it looser. These buttons here, one of these is a plus, one of these is a minus. If you hit the buttons, they will compute an extra orbit. Like if you're in orbit around a planetary body and you want to make a maneuver but want to wait until your next full go around, hit that plus button and it'll compensate the maneuver for that extra orbit. Or hit the minus button and it'll shave off an orbit so you can do it quicker. And finally, this function here, there's usually two blue dots like that on the edge of this white circle. But if you move the thumbstick, it will drag the maneuver node back or closer or more distant from you. And that just shortens or lengthens the time between where you are and when you maneuver. And then just hit this red X to cancel the maneuver. And that's all there is to it, really. Meanwhile, going back to our basics, when we get to the moon, let me focus our view on it. So you see we'll be coming in from this direction, or is it this one? Yes, coming in from the left side, and we have our periapsis right here of 32,753.4 meters, somewhere in between there. When we get to there, we'll have to fire retrograde again, and instead of escaping the moon's sphere of influence, we'll bring it into a circular orbit, and from there I will plot where on the moon I will want to land. So why don't we go ahead and skip to when we get to that point.
A few moments later.
Alright, so I brought us forward to the point where we've just entered the moon's sphere of influence. You can see our little lander. We're very distant from Kerbin now. You can see it in the corner there. And let's go ahead and get a look at this little lander. I think it's really cute. And very functional, if I do say so myself. And as I say that, it doesn't seem to want to respond to commands. Okay, what happens if I do this? Okay, that happens. Well, there's the landing legs. You can see the engine there. I'm using a reliant liquid fuel engine. They're very reliant, you know. Let's go ahead and fold those landing legs back up. We have our Communitron 16S antenna there. Have another one on the other side. I guess I neglected to extend our little ship's solar panels. Very important for keeping stability assist on. You need power. And I think somewhere on... Oh, I think that's why it wasn't responding. We were out of power in our reaction wheels. Yeah, that's it. Very important you add power systems and batteries to your little ship. There's my battery right up there. And there's my reaction wheels and my remote guidance unit. Wait, why do I have a remote guidance unit? That must be just in case the pod fails. Huh, what do you know? I'm a good planner. Anyway, I also got some little landing lights here. Let me just turn on the light group. You'll see in a later video the reason I have these landing lights on there, but suffice it to say I needed them. And of course we have our parachute up here and our drogue chutes. Let's turn off the lights real fast, and I want Bill Kerbin here. He's sitting in the co-pilot seat. There's a Jebediah, good old Jeb. Let's see. Let's bring him out for just a minute. We're not going to do any floating around. We're just going to take a little stroll. Give you a sense of scale on this thing. See, he's not that big compared to this lander. It's a pretty big lander, all things considered. You know, we could have rotated it into the sun a little bit more just so you could see poor Bill. But anyway, that's all I really wanted to show you, so let's hop back inside. How long do we have until our... Oops. We have a very long time until our periapsis. Why don't we go ahead and fast forward to here. Okay, we are now 13 minutes away. Great. Let me just add another maneuver here and give you a demonstration of what I was talking about earlier. So there's the two move maneuver arrows. We'll switch to prograde and retrograde. If we drag the thumbstick back, the retrograde will shorten our orbit until we have... Oops, that's too far. Be very careful here. That will be fine right there. Actually, bring it in just a little bit more. 82 and... Oh, that's actually too short. I want our periapsis to be at least 30,000, just for the heck of it. No, let's make it 25,000. That's close enough right there. I think I'm happy with that orbit there. So when we reach our apoapsis later, we'll be able to make a landing site, mark a landing site more easily. So let's go ahead and set our maneuver. See our ship turning to comply. And notice we still have plenty of fuel. Like I said, this particular design is very fuel efficient, yet very handy when it comes to interstellar travel. Or interplanetary, I should say. So, it's hard to see because we're on the dark side of the moon. Insert Pink Floyd song there. So, let me just do a quick fire of the engine. We'll have it around a 32-second burn. Let me do a quick calculation here. 32 divided by 2, 16 seconds. So at about 16 seconds, we're going to fire up our engine again and bring our orbit down to this you see in yellow here. Otherwise, we just continue and fly away from the moon, which, if we're trying to land on the moon, we don't want to do. Alright, coming up on 30 seconds, and at 16, like I said, we're going to initiate the burn. Let me switch to this view so I can see when I'm doing easier. Alright, 10 seconds. 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Alright, and you see the tail of our orbit is coming down. Hardly putting a dent in our fuel supply there, at least for the moment. Alright, we have a circular orbit. Let's just bring it down to a shorter height, or altitude. And there we go. Perfect. Beautiful. We are now in orbit of the moon. So that, ladies and gentlemen, is how you do that. That was the main part of this video, but since we've got a lot of time left actually, why don't we actually get into landing? I like landing. Let's see. I've got a whole lot of landing sites on this side. I want one that's more over here. So why don't I create a new marker at our apoapsis? Come on. Come on. There we go. Add a maneuver and drag the retrograde marker to terminate somewhere over there. And you know what? Let's give it a little bit of normal and anti-normal spice. Kind of like we're cooking something here. That's a little bit of an anti-normal spice. And there we go. We have a landing site somewhere in this region. And when we get to that point, we'll fire up our engines again and begin our descent. Alright, so we've time warped a little bit. Our craft is in the sun again. It's getting power. We're quickly approaching our apoapsis and maneuver point. Real fast though, look, there's just the surface of the moon and Kerbin rise over the horizon. It's pretty, isn't it? This is the kind of view astronauts live for. Alright, well, anyway, back to the video at hand. Let's set our position to maneuver. We're going to be facing backwards because we're firing at retrograde. That is opposite to our direction of orbit. See, we're traveling, follow the cursor. We're orbiting this way, but we're going to fire our engines to make us move this way, which will slow us down, which is what's going to draw us to the moon's surface. Following me? Good. Ten. 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and initiating burn. Keep an eye on the point of termination for our orbit. That's fine right there. It'll change a little bit as we continue to descend. Go ahead and hit the X on that. Alright, so we are now on a suborbital trajectory to the surface of the moon. What I like to do with this point is check my batteries. They have full charge, and I retract the solar panels just in case, so they won't be in the way during landing. And we'll have quite a bit of battery left, so don't worry about that. And we're in the daylight, so we don't need our landing lights in this particular operation, but we do need our landing gears, so let's deploy them right now. There we are. Alright, our lander is ready for landing. We want to point retrograde, because that will keep our engines tilted at the surface. Just remember that. That's a very important thing to remember. Always keep your engine pointed down towards the surface. It's going to be the only thing that slows you down. because there's no atmosphere on the moon. Alright, coming in, looks like we've got a relatively flat area coming up. So this could be a pretty good landing site. I mean, there are plenty of craters, but from here, it might change later, it looks very decent for landing. And as you can see, we're about 50,000 meters above the surface. I like to start kind of puffing the engine here. I'm going to start slowing us down just a little bit. Slowing down is very important. Here's the big thing. When you're approaching the surface, you have to keep it at about 10 meters per second. You can see the speed right here on the top of our nav ball. Very important. A little too much more, you'll start bouncing, and if you hit the surface at 20 meters per second, you're gonna explode. Trust me, I've done it a bunch of times. Don't worry, there were no casualties. At least in the main timeline. Anyway, now, final tip for landing, so I can concentrate. When you get close, you're going to see your shadow on the surface. If you see your shadow getting close to touching you, that means you're getting close to landing. So watch the sun, it's almost directly overhead. And as we get closer, we're going to start seeing it coming in. We're heading for this nice little crater here. Let's start bleeding off speed. You can see our shadow there to the right of our lander. I'm going to take us all the way down to 20 meters a second here. And then let us fall, and then... Alright, let us fall. Alright, this may be kind of a bad landing site, I'm going to be honest. But if we're careful, we should be able to pull it off. Just keep a watch. Oh, our shadow has disappeared. Lighting glitch. Be careful about that. Alright, we're coming in. Very slow descent. I think this is going to be it, ladies and gentlemen. Here we go. Oh! What happened? Oh my god. Uh-oh. This isn't good. Well, the good news is we've landed. That is the good news. That is the very good news. Bad news, our engine is gone. The engine is what blew up there. That's not good. Well, good thing I made a quick save before attempting this, so I have the luxury of being able to reset and try again. But look at this, everyone. We actually got lucky and got a very flat landing site on the rim of this crater, surprisingly enough. But, you know what? I mean, sure, we may have screwed up, but I don't see any reason why we can't get out for a little bit of a stroll while we're here. So let's extend our solar panels. Get this out of the way. And our little ladder here. There we go. And now, who's going to be our first Kerbal on the surface? Let's do Jeb. I think he's earned this honor. Whoop! Yeehaw! Oh! Well, there go our solar panels, too. Look at him! Oh, well. At least we made it. And that, ladies and gentlemen, at least until the next video where I restart and do this properly, is the end of the my little tutorial for you. So thank you for watching, everyone. I've been Curtis Watson. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more if you enjoyed, and I will see you in the next video. Goodbye.
Thank you for watching this video. Do not forget to like and subscribe for more excitement from Watson Entertainment Media. This transmission now ends.